Right, stand by. Roll sound.
Speed.
Roll camera.
Speeding.
Slate.
Scene one, take one, mark.
And action. Hey everybody, how you doing? Here we are, Burnie's Applebox. Got a great one going for you today. But one quick little thing. First, I'd like to thank Light Bulb Grip and Electric in Brooklyn, New York. They're a supporter here of Burnie's Applebox. And also, they have been producing some content. Adam Richland out there is very active in the community for G&E and all production people. And he's put together an hour-long group conversation on diversity in our industry. So I'm making arrangements with him. Hopefully we'll have that up for the viewers next week, and we will show an hour-long special on that. So that's coming up. And just once again, thank you, Light Bulb Grip and Electric in Brooklyn, New York, and Adam Richland. Thank you, buddy. So today, exciting show. And as you guys know, if you're any sort of regular watcher of this is my 1 hour to actually sit down and talk to the people that I worked with for years. So today, that person is Jim Simeone, Director of Photography.
Well, hello, Burnie.
Howdy, buddy. How you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh,
I've seen many of the episodes, and I've always loved the show, and I never thought I'd be on it, but here I am.
That's so awesome, dude. And of course you'd be on it. Of course. But you know, one thing, Jim, and this is, I just want to cover your background, of course, how you got in the business, and you're out here in LA, and Jim is a working DP. Jim is the salt of the earth as far as DP goes. He's a problem solver, he's a doer, he fixes things. You don't know how many times I've been on set with this guy, and all of a sudden production throws us a big left turn, and you go, okay, I got it figured out. I know how to do it, And it's just, I mean, that is our industry. That's what we do on set. We figure out ways to make it work, and you are a master at it, sir.
Yeah, it's scrambling to think of a fix.
Mm-hmm.
I take huge pride in that, and a lot of times I've just fashioned something out of something else.
Oh yeah,
and,
totally MacGyver it.
Yeah. And literally many on crews have called me MacGyver, and I love that nickname. I take that as a point of pride. Absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, let me just start back just a little bit, and here's another thing. I've worked with you for years.
Yeah, many years.
Easy 5 years. I know we've been in and out, but probably more than that. And I don't know anything about you, and that is so much like our industry too.
Really
We're
is.
thrown together in a group out of individuals, and usually you're seeing somebody on set, oh, that's great, I'm so glad you're here. I know somebody now, and that's the way it goes for us, but we don't really have a personal friendship, or I'd say it's a personal friendship, but we don't hang together.
Correct.
Where I know your stories, you know my stories,
Right.
backgrounds, all of that. And just as you've come in here, you've told me 3 or 4 things that I go, oh, I'm going there, I'm going there,
Yeah. I think a lot of that is also, compared to other markets, it's the LA kind of way. Because, I came up through the ranks in Boston. And in Boston, there was like 6 DPs and 6 gaffers and 6 key grips. And it was a very small community. And every time we would do a shoot, we all knew each other for the past 15 years.
Right.
And then afterwards we'd go to a bar across the street and we'd talk and have a drink and talk and all this stuff. And here in LA there's 800 DPs and 800 gaffers, and
in the thousands, I would say. Yeah.
Like you'll say, hey, do you know Joe Schmo, the DP? I've heard of him, but no.
Yeah.
And in Boston, of course we know him.
You worked with him probably. You came up with him
Right,
maybe.
right.
And two, that's another thing is for me here. There are so many people that I've met, I've worked with over the years and years. I figured it out one time, and this was like several years ago. I had been on over 2,000 sets,
Sure,
you know what I mean,
right.
2,000 working days, and you meet a lot of people there.
Yeah.
You don't remember them, but I do remember a face.
Yes.
I can tell you if I've worked with you by face. Won't tell you where, but I know I've worked with you.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that we do. But let's go back to Massachusetts.
Sure.
What were you interested in as a kid? What got you going as a kid?
As a kid, as far as our industry goes, I was always a lover of movies and television. You know, Dad especially was just big into making sure we saw good movies and things
Okay.
like that.
So your
you know,
parents were they wanted you to see good
Yeah,
movies.
like
They
Dad's
knew
favorite
the
movie
art.
was The Treasure of Sierra Madre with Humphrey Bogart, and
Sure.
he just made sure, okay, it's time for you guys to watch Treasure of Sierra Madre. Back in the
Sure.
day, there was no such thing as tapes or anything like that, so
Yeah.
you had to wait like for that third year when it was actually going to be on television.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's, you know, so I grew up watching movies. Probably around high school, I started thinking about it, you know, when it was starting to be about time to start thinking about college and what to major in and all that
Right.
stuff. And, you know, I was bouncing back and forth between being a Navy fighter pilot and being a lawyer
Sure.
and being this and that. And then, so I decided to go to a state college in Massachusetts, Fitchburg State College.
Right.
Because back in the day, you know, it was the late 70s really, you know, when you looked for a school that has a film program, there weren't many.
Right.
All right. Now, you know, back in Massachusetts, there was 4 schools that had a film program. It was BU, Emerson, Fitchburg State, and RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. We're the only 4 in all of the 6 states in New England that had a film
Wow.
program.
All of the 6 states in New England.
Yeah. And so I applied to BU in Fitchburg. I got accepted to both. Couldn't afford BU, so I went to Fitchburg State College. You know, state college back in those days, it was $325 a semester. You know what I mean? So that's what I could afford.
Yeah.
And I went there, and it was a great film program because we had my mentor of the day, Gunther Hoos, and he taught us so much because he was actually from our industry. He had worked in New York at a film production company doing
Okay.
commercials, so he knew all this stuff that the other professors,
He
they
knew
were
the
great too.
reality of
He
it.
knew the reality, so we learned a ton. And then when we went on our internship, our final year, the school made us do a 5-day, 40 hours at least internship, and BU was doing a 3-day one, and Emerson was doing a 3-day one. So what that did was it made the Fitchburg kids actually more valuable to the production companies that they were interning at because they were
Wow.
there every day.
Wow.
So when my internship ended, I started gripping for that company doing TV commercials. And
You know, just for a minute, just tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about what stood out in your internship, because I think that's such a crucial period. I think about
Yeah.
that a lot. People come out of college and really they're shaped by maybe the first group of people that they work with.
Yes.
You know, that's a very big time to be imprinted. What was that like for you?
when I first got to the production company, their specialty was commercials.
Okay.
So I, you know, had come up through the ranks in college, and you're just doing fun college films and things like that.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing actual commercials.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing production that I'd really never seen before, and I remember seeing bigger lights that I had never seen. Because back at school we had, you know, the biggest light might have been a 300-watt
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I'm seeing
And you were fighting for that
I'm
one.
seeing
Yeah.
2,000-watt lights and things like
Yeah.
that. Now, when I started, there was no such thing as really fluorescent lighting or even HMIs.
Right.
So it was all tungsten lights, and so we learned all the thing about putting the blue gel on.
You
and making
adjust the
daylight
you
and all that
adjust
stuff.
for daylight. Yeah.
But I think some of the things I learned the most, that I was most impressed by, was they would hire every once in a while for their bigger budget commercials, like a New York DP or
Okay.
an LA DP. And this
Yeah.
guy would come in and he would just do things so different than what we had been doing in Boston, because he would demand bigger, better lights.
Bigger
and they would come
toys,
in
right?
from New York
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that. And we learned that much more. One of the good things about me being an intern that got me more opportunity is there was 3 other interns at the same time from the other schools that were only doing 3 days a week. I was the 5-day guy, so they started letting me do more because I would be there every day.
Sure.
The other 3 were all from New York. They were New York City kids, so they didn't have a car. I had a car,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was the one
Oh,
getting...
you were the king.
So I was getting sent on errands to go get lights. And so
Yeah.
then I'm learning the rental houses because
Okay.
I could drive there and stuff like that. So that was just a silly opportunity because of a car. But,
Right.
You know.
But I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Somebody out there listening, I think, is the assets that you bring to the game that may be everyday assets, like a car,
right.
that is going to leapfrog you
No,
over.
it's a little thing like that. And if you have a 2-seat Ferrari or you have a van,
Right.
you're going to have even more opportunity with
Right.
the van.
Right.
You know, you'll
Yes.
be a little cooler with the ladies with the Ferrari,
Yes,
but
yeah. Well, I don't know, Jim. I've done pretty good with the van. No, we won't go there.
but
That's
it's just,
fine.
you know, it's kind of the way things happen
Right.
sometimes. But the key part of that whole internship is I had 2 intern advisors who were both more in camera lighting grip department as opposed to being producer types. So they really were teaching me those things. Being a DP now, you know, there's absolute importance to lighting, grip, and obviously camera stuff.
Right.
So I was learning the stuff I really needed that I was going to use down the road as a DP. And being that as well, my two mentors, Paul and Michael. Paul, since then, he was the first guy I met in the business. He was my intern advisor. I was so impressed by what he knew and all of this stuff. Later on, he and I started our own company together.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I still work with him all the time. You just worked with him when we did that Drew Brees
Oh,
commercial.
sure.
Paul.
Sure.
He was my,
okay.
he was
I
my
had no
intern
idea.
advisor.
I had no idea. He was
Yeah.
a great guy.
And I work with him all the time. He's a director, and
He's a very funny
I'm
guy
his shooter.
too. It was so fun to work with him.
He's a character. But I remember, being so impressed with him, and then years and years later, I'm having a drink with him, eating dinner at his house, and telling him about those early days. And then he confided in me that he had just got into the business only a month before me. And so he was just slinging the boat that he was so
I love it.
great at it. But,
I love it.
but
And he did have that kind of personality.
Yeah,
Because immediately, as soon as you meet the guy, you like him.
Yeah, yeah.
And you feel like, oh, this guy's been on a million shoots. Yeah, I know.
And he has, but he's also a taskmaster. He knows what he wants.
Oh, yeah.
And he demands it out of you, and he won't suffer fools. He really likes to keep things light on the shoot. There'll be comedy, but if someone is just doing comedy and not doing what they're
that's
doing,
a problem.
He'll lay into them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what? I really enjoy that type of workflow, because I think one thing that this is something I saw when I came in. This is something because I own now a G&E business,
Yeah.
and I've got crews going out, it's a core belief of mine. People want direction.
Yes.
The worst thing that you can do is get on a set and the leader can't direct a group. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're directing a group, you're directing department heads and they're directing.
But you and I both run into that a lot.
Yeah.
There are directors that come in and you wonder, I'm wondering how this guy is getting to be the director.
Yes.
Because he doesn't seem to know about
Doesn't
any
know
of the
about
equipment
camera.
stuff. He doesn't know how long it takes to do something that he's requesting.
Yeah.
And a more experienced guy would, he might want to do something, but he also knows about budgets and his time schedule, and he'll go, let's do the other thing instead.
Yes.
And he won't ask you to do something that would take 3 hours to set up.
Yeah.
Because
he knows the chain.
Right.
If the guy is smart enough to know the chain, the workflow of the set and all that, he knows when he asks for this, it's going to cause a ripple to go to these other departments. And he makes a decision at that time. I either want to do that and it's worth the ripples, or it's not worth the ripples for what I need when I walk out of here.
It's understanding that we're going to do it.
Absolutely.
And there's also understanding people above him that this is going to cost me more, but I'm willing to do it.
Yes, yes.
But quite often those shoots that are 17 hours long, and this could have been a 10-hour day. And it tends to be because of this one person.
Yeah.
Quite often.
Yes. So you were in there, and you've got up now, and you're in Boston, and you're working. You were an intern, and then after the internship, then where did
I started to get hired initially as a grip. I actually never PA'd my entire career.
Oh, is that right?
I somehow skipped that. I think people figured it out really quick. I was going to be a rotten PA because they saw me answer a phone once, and I would be just like, oh, it's for you. Who is it? I don't know, some guy on the phone. And whenever they would send me out for lunch, I would not bring back a receipt, so they knew I was not going to be PA.
How many forks do we have? Oh, do you want forks too?
So they figured maybe the grip truck, something to do with sandbags and the Appleboxes. He could
some structure.
Do that.
Some structure.
So I really enjoyed being a grip. I think to tell you the truth, I think it's one of the funner jobs on the shoot.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, but being that, I learned a lot about lights, even though I wasn't so much using the lights, but I learned the names of all the lights and the wattage of all the lights and the amperage needed for the lights, and I learned the 3 nicknames for each light. And I think this is a good thing for people getting into the business to learn too, and you can learn it by. A lot of rental houses will be kind of nice to you if you tell them that you want to learn stuff. They'll let you go there, go around the shop. Someone will tend to take you under their arm, and they'll say, "This is a baby. It's a 1,000 watt light. It takes 8.3 amps." And it's other nicknames of this, stuff like that. And so rental houses do that, and also for camera, and you can learn all the different cameras.
Right. Yeah, there are good opportunities out there to learn, and I think one of the important things, and because I preach this, and I know you believe this, we all do who are in the business, but there is no replacement for time on set.
Yes.
You can go you can go anywhere, do anything, but it's a time on set, and just you'll agree, I'm sure. by you going there and not only knowing the 1K, seeing the 1K,
Right.
but then see how it
works.
looks and
Yeah.
works and where they
You
put
start
it.
to notice a pattern of where they tend to use it,
Yes.
compared to the open face light, and,
Yes.
and compared to the the fluorescent, and why you use HMI.
Right.
You can tell someone that, but to see it,
To see it. Watch
to
how
see
the
it being
diffusion.
set up, one thing, but also to see it on the monitor.
That's the big
what it
thing
does.
to me.
Yeah.
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 Because you can see it raw, you can see it with diffusion in it,
Yeah.
you can see it all different levels, scrims, single, double
Right.
in it. All of those little tricks, and that is how I learned. I mean,
Yeah.
I did start out as a PA. I was on set, got sucked up by the G&E crew because
good.
I was a middle-aged guy.
Right, right.
You know what I mean? I looked like I should have been there.
Right, right.
And did it. But boy, it was a long apprenticeship for me in the lighting department because first of all, my work philosophy was I am here to service this department. In other words, I am not here to be the top grip. Everybody in this department is my customer.
Yeah.
And if they need something, I'm looking, I'm listening, I'm watching, and I want to be the first guy that brings it to them. I want to be the guy that brings the whole group ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
And that was probably, and that's just sort of a personal kind of way I am.
Yeah.
In working in a group. And that was probably the most important thing I did was that little, because pretty soon, then somebody who was on that crew remembers me.
Yes.
Oh, I've called my other two guys and they're not working, but this Burnie guy, he might work out. He's a hustler.
Yeah, he's a
Boom.
hustler. He's a go-getter.
And I imagine it
and
was
he
the same
he
for
wants
you.
to help, and he pays attention, and he seems to learn.
Yes.
Is
yes,
the other thing.
Yes. And never underestimate the power of keeping your mouth shut.
Yeah. I think, especially for the newer folks getting into the business, there's such value to quiet, to being quiet. You should really do your work, pay attention, listen. It doesn't mean you have to be mute or never say a joke.
Right.
But don't try to be the jokester of the day.
Yeah.
Let them find out you're funny. Don't try to show them you're funny.
Exactly.
But just listen
Yeah.
and pay attention. And then the people above you won't think that you're always trying to fool around or that you're not paying attention. 'Cause
Yeah.
you can just nonstop.
Right. Right.
It's like-
Nothing's more annoying than the talker on set.
yeah.
I think when there's that, it doesn't bother you for the first couple hours.
Yeah.
Then you just hear it. It's just like,
Because
hey,
there's so
shut
much
up.
important talking that needs to be going on. So it's not bad to have a kind of quiet set because the director
Right.
needs to talk to the DP, the director needs to talk to talent, the director needs to
Right.
talk to the producer, the director needs to talk to his clients and
Right.
the agency. That should be the heard
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
And then by listening to those things, it can tell you, you know what, I think they're going to move over to the phone booth there, and we're going to need, a light and a bounce card, I'm guessing. So, hey, why don't you go get a bounce card? Why don't you get a C-stand?
Right.
Just take it, it may have,
Well, that's it with a noisy set. I mean, and this was my PA thing. You know what I mean? I always wanted to know what the director was saying to the DP,
Yeah.
or to the sound guy,
Right.
or whatever. We need sound blankets. We need whatever you need. That's what I wanted to listen to, and that's what I think gets missed sometimes today. Not on all sets. I mean, when we worked down in San Diego, I thought that was marvelous. When we
Yeah.
did Drew Brees down there.
No, that was very nice. It was a very well-run shoot, and in nowadays where most everything is so small budget lately, and you're just working out of usually a cargo van of lighting grip, and we had 2 trucks, and we had enough lighting grip crew.
We had
what
I mean, it was so nice to work, and
it was
everybody
really, it was
so
sort of like the
pro.
old days of doing a commercial.
It was.
It was very
It
nice,
was.
and
It was.
we got everything we wanted. I think you saw the finished spot. And
Yeah, it
the
was
client
beautiful.
Absolutely tickled about
That's
it.
great.
And it
That's
was
the bottom
fun.
line. That's the bottom line. Well, let's get back to Boston for a minute,
Okay,
though.
yeah.
So you came out of this, that you started gripping and stuff. How did you make that transition to director
shoot.
of photography?
Like probably most people wanting to get into the biz, I wanted to be a director. We tend not to go, at film school. Yep, I'm going to be a PA, or I'm going to be a third grip.
Nobody's
No.
got. I'm going to be a gaffer.
It's like you're going to be a DP or you're going to be a director.
Right.
So, so I had some film camera background from my college days because we used to shoot 16mm film up there all the time. We were on a shoot with the production company. I'm a grip. it's nighttime shoot, overnight shoot. There's an AC, the DP, and the director, obviously. They're using a tulip crane. It was one of the old cranes.
Oh,
It had
sure, I know the tulip,
two seats
yeah.
on it. So you'd have the DP who was also operating and the AC pulling focus on
Sure.
the thing. And the problem with that is, like, every time the AC would get off to load film, you know, he weighs 180 pounds, so they have to come down. The guy gets up on a step ladder, take 180 pounds of weights off.
Yeah.
He goes, loads the film, comes
Yeah.
back, put the 180 pounds of weight back
Right.
on, and then they can move it. And it was really slowing us down. And we get daylight coming pretty soon, and then the
Sure.
shoot's going to be a bust. So the production manager on that job was my buddy Paul.
Yeah.
But then he was my boss, not so much my buddy then.
Yeah.
But he asked the AC, Don, he goes, hey, if someone could load the film, would that help you guys out? He goes, that would be so awesome. We don't have a second AC, but that would be awesome.
Yeah.
He goes, well, Simeone over there, he can load film. Because Paul knew from my college days that I was loading 16mm film. And it's a 35mm shoot. I'd never touched 35mm film in my life or the camera
Wow.
at all. But I felt confident I could do it. I go, yes, I can do it. And so
That's a big
I
leap.
get into the changing bag, 1,000-foot roll of 35. First time ever touching 35mm film. It's a new magazine I've never used in my life, but I knew the
Wow.
procedure and the
Yeah.
marks, and I loaded it, did it, and it worked. And we did the rest of the day that way. Then from then on, I was now in the camera department, and I became an AC.
Wow, just like that.
Yeah, because that AC started bringing me in as a second.
Oh my God.
And then I became a first AC. Then through it all, knowing we wanted to direct, Paul and I started our own little production company called Cinevision Incorporated, and we were going to do commercials so that we could
Okay.
both direct, because no one was going to let us direct, so we figured we're going to have to direct
Sure,
ourselves.
there's your opportunity.
So we each threw in like $500, and we shot 3 fake television commercials.
Oh
we,
my
We shot a
gosh.
fake Macintosh commercial, a Swatch watch commercial, and we did a thing for a restaurant.
What year was this, do you recall?
Probably 84.
Okay.
Okay. And we went to the camera rental company. They gave us pretty much a 35mm camera.
Yeah.
And lighting grip company, there's only one in town. They gave us, you know, a truck.
Sure.
And then we talked to our friends, and we had free crew.
Yeah.
And so the money just went to buying the film, processing the film, and transferring the film.
Sure.
And then we edited it ourselves. And we did 3 fake commercials. Our demo reel was like a minute and a half long. And we sat down and we called every single advertising agency in all 6 states in New England and said, hey,
Wow.
we're a new production company. We have a demo reel. We'd like to show it to you. Maybe we could do some of your smaller stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'd call Vermont places, and he'd call Rhode Island places. And then we started
So
to...
you guys were just dialing for dollars.
Yeah. And then we would go, take turns. I'd get a suit on, and I'd go to an agency. And, you know, sometimes I would drag a big, gigantic 3/4-inch deck with me to show the demo reel. Sometimes they had a deck.
Yeah.
And we would show the demo reel, and usually nothing would happen. But then we started to get some phone calls, and they said, hey, you know, we got part of a commercial coming up, and we just need to do this one little tag, you know, 1 5-second shot.
Yeah.
And they would give us, like, dirt for money.
Yeah.
And me and Paul would do it for free, other than they would give us just enough money to rent the gear and to pay a couple of guys in the crew.
Yeah.
And then we started doing a lot of those, and then we started doing a real lot of those, and we became one of Boston's, you know, companies doing a lot of commercials.
Wow.
And so Paul was a director, I was a director, and then we got a nice account with a hotel chain to do their promotional things, and they had hotels in Bermuda and Florida and, you know, all over the country. And Paul got the job to direct it. At the agency meeting, he said, hey, who do you want us to get it to shoot? Who do you want us to get to shoot it, you know, of the other 6 Boston camera guys? Well, they said, well, you have Jim Simeone in your company. He's a shooter. Have him shoot it. And Paul just said, okay, I wasn't a shooter. I was just an AC, but they remembered me for some shoot in the
Yeah,
camera
you
department.
touched a camera once. You're a DP,
So he
right?
came home from, he came to our office from the agency, and he goes, hey, we got the Hotel Sonesta gig.
Yeah.
And we're going to Bermuda next week for 2 weeks.
Oh
and he
my
goes,
gosh.
go buy a meter. I'm like, what? He goes, you're the DP. I'm like, what? So I went, I bought a meter.
I love those
Flew to
stories.
Bermuda, and somehow we shot for 2 weeks, and you have no idea if it's coming out, if you're exposing right or anything
Oh
like that.
my
We do the
gosh.
transfer.
Because they
Some-
didn't have
No,
dailies there. You
nothing.
didn't have a lab there.
Yeah, it was all math, trying to figure out your exposure.
Oh
but
my
it came out fine, clients were happy, and then I just started doing more and more of those and less directing. So I'm kind of working my way down the ladder, is what I'm doing.
You'll be a PA.
Right, yeah, I'm going to get that.
Hold that thought right there. I think we're going to go to a break right now, so we'll be right back at Burnie's Applebox. Hi, I'm Burnie. I own Burnie's Grip and Lighting, San Diego Grip and Lighting, and Los Angeles Grip and Lighting. You know, we pride ourselves on not only renting you the best equipment, but also giving you the best crews. And one of our core values here at Burnie's Grip and Lighting is that we give you the highest production value in the world. And remember, people used to say national, local. No, we present world-class production value on every set. We also know budgets are very tight these days, and you've got 10 hours to get what you need in the can. We move ahead, we move fast, and we know what you need. When you rent from Burnie's Grip and Lighting, you have a partner on your production for that day that is making sure you are well taken care of. So anytime you're in Southern California, give us a call at 714-609-3545, and we'll take very good care of you. See you on set. Hey everybody, how you doing? Here with Jim Simeone, and we just found out he was ordered to go buy a light meter and then sent down to Bermuda to shoot something, and that's how he became a DP. So yeah, long story short.
I started DPing, doing less directing. I still direct every once in a while.
Yeah.
If it's the kind of project that doesn't really involve the spoken word, like as far as I'm concerned, the actors could just say the alphabet as far as I'm concerned. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
But if it's the car needs to go from here to here,
yeah,
or the tiger needs to jump from here to here,
yeah,
then I'll sometimes be the director or DP. But usually I'm the DP.
Kind of a second unit type thing. And, and knowing you too, I mean, you are such a good DP, and you are so into that, and so it obviously gives you, with the frustration, of course, but joy. To do it, that's apparent. That I can't almost imagining you being anything else. You know, knowing you as a DP.
Yeah, I don't have a giant desire to be a director instead.
Yeah.
Especially exclusively, because I enjoy what I do camera-wise. Because I'm a kind of a technical person. I like tools, and I like lights and gears and extension cords. I like extension cords. You know what I mean? Sure. So I like being around that stuff. Yeah. And the also, you know, the crew. Lighting and grip crew, I enjoy
that camaraderie, as do I. That is something that I really like working in a group. And what really excites me about our industry is all these individuals coming together. And I'm sure you've been there, where it's people from other countries, different parts of the country, yet you're professional. You can come together anywhere and produce something. You can produce something great. You know what I mean? And you may never have worked together before, and nor again.
I was shooting in Spain years ago. It was like a 2-week shoot in Spain. This crew, they were really good lighting and grip guys. Zero English ability at all. And I have zero Spanish ability. Yeah. And we just came up with a made-up term for each light.
Really?
And you know, why didn't I just say baby, and they learned that, but we came up with...
Yeah, because it was meeting in the middle,
because I was trying to communicate, and so I say a word in English, but make it sound more Spanish, you know, just by giving it an accent. But it worked out fine. You know, we figured it out. It was kind of fun to do.
That's so great. So, and it sounded like now you guys are in a production company, you're director of DP, and you must have kind of lit the place on fire a little bit, right? You were getting better work, more work?
Get better and better work. Also, back in the New England days, back in the 80s, there was a ton of corporate going on. We had a lot of computer companies there that are now since long gone, but there was digital equipment, and there was Wang computers, and Lotus, and all of this stuff.
Because you had the brain trust back there with all the
so we would, once a week at least, should do some sort of corporate thing, you know, where someone's showing how to unscrew the something panel on a computer, or just people in a conference talking. So that would help you to pay the rent for your office, because you always had this very basic, you know, shooting with the old beta cams and things like that. But I like to think that my main stock and trade has always been commercials, because I've shot well over 800 television commercials in my career. But a lot of other things too, lots of training films. One of my groups I worked with a lot was Emergency Film Group. They're world known as the premier firefighter training film company. And so I've shot so many firefighter training films and police training films through them. And I enjoy that as much as any big budget commercial.
Oh.
You know, because I'm riding the fire engine, I'm climbing the hook and ladder
Hey,
all the
it's
way up,
Walter
you know?
Mitty.
Yeah.
It's Walter Mitty.
Yeah, I'm getting to be that firefighter I wanted to be when I was 8 years old.
You're the guy driving the rear of the fire truck,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
I never got to do that, but pretty close to it.
No. You know, and that really is something, Jim, that I think is such a hidden secret in our business. You know, I go back home to my hometown, you know, and there's only two types of filmmaking.
Yeah.
There's movies and porn. Which one are you? Which one are you doing?
Right.
You know, people do not know in our society, and I always sort of answer that theoretical question. I don't actually get hit with that. I'm sure they're thinking it, but they don't ask it. But the answer I always give is like, when you go online and you watch a training tape, how do you think it got there?
Right, exactly.
You know, and when you go on to see how something is happening on YouTube or what, how do you think it got there?
Yeah.
You know,
And if you're
that
at school
is
and you're
huge.
going to limit yourself to thinking, I'm only going to work on movies,
Oh, you're limiting
You really-
far too hard.
maybe not going to last that long in the business. But
Yeah.
another thing too, like we all got into the business because we like movies. It wasn't like I loved,
Of course.
I wasn't loving commercials.
Those are
but-
the 747s.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's United
But
Airlines.
then I remember talking
Yeah.
to some of my movie crew buddies, and I'm like, "Oh man, you guys are doing movies. I'm just doing commercials." They go, "What are you crazy? We're doing commercials. We don't
wish
want to
we
be
were
doing
on
movies." Right?
That's the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Most guys that are getting killed out there, they're going, "Hey, I want to just day play for a while. I don't
a
want."
commercial. You tend to get paid more per day. It's not 4 months of not being with your family.
Right, right.
You know, so there's merits to it, and you can stay quite busy doing commercials as well.
Well, you know, and my background too, as it being in G&E, because I started in Orange County,
Yeah.
I always got enough bleed over work from Los Angeles where it
Yeah,
was
sure.
like, well, why would I leave here?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
and there was, once again, I came in the 90s and there was so much corporate work back
Yeah,
then.
for sure.
And you made so much money and you could work all the time. I literally I would have had to turn money down to go to Hollywood to work up there.
Yes,
And the
understood.
motivation just
And
was
you're
not
learning
there.
what you need to know, let's say for lighting. You know, I mean, whether you're doing an interview of a bank president and you light him nice,
Yeah.
it's sort of the same, could be exactly the same as the police chief yelling at his lieutenant in the office. Same lighting.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You're going to use the same skills to light a movie scene that you are to light anything else
Right.
that you're doing, you know? And, you know, one thing in my learning process of that, you know, is I did press junkets. So
sure.
that's the
Yeah.
type of thing where, you know, they clear out a whole, as you know, they
Yep.
clear out the floor. You're going into individual rooms that have been cleared out.
Right.
And you're lighting, but you're lighting for A-listers.
Yeah.
You're lighting for people that have people following them around, commenting on their lighting.
Yeah.
You know, so that was, and I was a gaffer,
Yeah,
you know, back
I've done
then.
a lot of those. Yeah.
And that was the one thing I learned is that, you know, what I learned in lighting that interview over at X company, you know,
Yeah.
or X corporation, is exactly the same thing I'm doing here.
Yeah.
You know, and those little tricks like of a gish light, of placing the backlight on two sides for a woman with long
Yes,
hair.
right, exactly.
These
Having
little
maybe the
tricks.
underlight
Yep.
for the older woman.
Yep.
Because she doesn't want to see wrinkles when she sees
You
it.
want to just give a hint down
Yeah.
here so it's not dark and shadowy. Yeah.
Like I did a lot of those junkets for Warner Brothers, and we would have all of the cast of every single one of their TV shows. And,
Yeah.
You know, and I would know that, okay, this next lady is known to be a very glamorous lady, so I have lights set for glamour lighting, and I have the more dramatic guy lighting, and I have
Yes.
the old lady lighting.
Yes.
It's all set up, ready to go, with light switches on and off,
Yep.
ready to go, because you don't have time to make changes.
Oh yeah, you can't relight it. You cannot relight it. You know, it has to work all the way through. And you know, you're not doing the true dramatic film look, you know,
Yeah.
or anything like that. But you're being watched
Yeah.
by top people in the industry, and they're going to say something. They'll say something just to look like they know something.
Yes, you'll
You
get
know,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you'll get that.
so that is something that's really
Yeah.
important.
One of the tricks I would do is I would take a cell phone picture of the monitor
Mm-hmm.
while the shoot was going on of the lady, let's say.
Yeah.
And then I would, if there was a little break, I would show it to her because I felt confident that she was going to like it.
Yeah.
And most of the time, and I took this as a compliment, they go, "Ooh, can I email that to myself?"
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that tells me if she's happy, then my client's going to be happy.
yes, yes. If she's happy, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So now we maybe got off track of our story a little bit, but
yeah.
now you're in Boston and you're successful. I know
Yeah.
you're making money and you're achieving everything, but somehow you came out to LA. Tell me about that.
So I did about 12 years in the biz in Boston. Probably 11 of those years, I was like, one of these days I got to move to California. I got to go to California. Got to go
And
to
what
LA.
was that- what was
I
that
was thinking
immediacy?
features. I was
Yeah.
thinking features,
Sure.
and that's not going to happen in Boston, obviously.
Yeah.
Although now they shoot a ton of movies in Boston.
Yeah.
But so finally, like in year 12 of it, I was like, shut up and go. It's time to go.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten married to Karen, and she's a definite Massachusetts girl. She didn't want to go. She was a real trooper. We came out. The deal was 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, see what you can do, and then we come back.
Yeah. Okay.
And so for the past 21 years, I've lived here. And
Still married to Karen?
every couple of months, Karen would be like, when are we moving back? And so Karen is also in the business, how I met her.
Oh, okay.
And I met her when she was a PA, and she's now a producer way above my rank.
Oh boy.
But so she was at an advertising agency here in California in the end, and then finally she decided, you know what, I'm doing it. I'm going back. So she quit the LA advertising agency here, moved to Massachusetts,
Oh my gosh.
lived at my mother's house for like 5 months. So I felt fairly confident she didn't have a boyfriend or anything like that. And she hit every single agency in all of New England, and now she's at an agency in Massachusetts.
Okay.
So she's full-time there. I'm mostly here. I try to
Okay.
get back every once in a while. We got to the point where we actually bought a house in Waltham, Massachusetts about 7 or 8 months ago.
Wow.
So I have a house in Massachusetts. I have a rental house in Burbank, California. And I'm going to try to do the thing of living both places.
That is amazing. I had no idea. I
yeah.
thought your wife was out here with you.
No,
but
she's back there now.
That's incredible.
So we're very used to not always being together because most of my jobs really are flyaways.
Yeah.
And so, like last year, 188 nights in hotel rooms. You know, so I'm away a lot every year for
Give me that again.
188 days in hotel rooms.
188 days
Yeah.
last year you were in a hotel room
Yeah,
on a
and
job.
I usually average like 160, 170.
Wow.
So she's used to me not being around a ton.
Yeah.
Like if I'm around 2 weeks in a row, she's like, so when did you
So
fly away?
when are you working again?
Right.
I'll book you on a job.
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's what
funny.
we're doing now. So I'm trying to work both places. I kind of had a weird policy where I would go back east a lot, you know, because my parents were there and brothers and sisters there, all my family is there.
Yeah.
And my policy was to not take a Boston job because there was only a few DPs there. It wasn't the busiest town, and they're all my friends. I didn't want to feel like I'm
Yeah, you're kind of coming in from outside,
yeah.
taking
So
the
I
dough
would
and
on purpose
leaving.
not take jobs. If
Oh,
a
that's
Boston company was
interesting.
flying somewhere, then I would do it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But
That's
now I'll have to
interesting.
probably change that since I do officially sort of live there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That's a very interesting point, and I had no idea that was the situation. But you know, one of the things, and this is, you know, I was 62 when I was married for the first time.
Yes, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had lived a life of a single
Sure.
man my entire life.
Right.
You know, and was pretty entrenched in it, and didn't have a problem with it.
No.
I was a happy guy.
Yeah,
you
right.
know. But it's funny because I met my wife, and there was never a decision of like, oh, should I get married? It was obvious.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
she's the one.
She's the one. I
Right.
get along with her. There's that emotional attachment and everything. But we have worked it out. But it's only at that time that she came into my life that I started really truly understanding how rough it was on the
It's really
family.
tough,
This
and
is a
it's-
brutal
it's
industry.
It's an industry that's just not for every couple. Because
Yes.
if your mate cannot deal with never knowing really what time you're going to come home,
Or when you're gonna
that you
work,
can't
when
commit to
you're-
next Thursday night with
Yeah.
the neighbors,
Yeah.
and something like that. If they can't deal with that,
Yeah.
and also not being able to deal with not how much you're going to make this year.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Are you? Yes.
Yeah.
You know, are we going to make rent this month?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially, you know, you younger folk getting into it, or you older folk getting into it, you know, this is, your professors might have told you otherwise, but it's not really especially initially, lucrative.
Oh no.
thing.
You
You know,
know.
and my first
No.
years, first ton of years, especially since we were doing all those commercials. You know, Paul and I we were getting no labor fee, so it was just we were
Yeah.
spending it just to build a better reel.
Yeah.
You know, he was a waiter in a restaurant, and I worked in a liquor store, and I worked in a gas station.
Wow.
You know, because
That's
my
some
real
real
advice to anyone
dedication.
getting in the business is, if you can come in rich, that's the best advice
Yeah.
I can give
Yeah.
you. 'Cause-
Trust funder.
Yeah, because you know.
No, it's
Those
listen,
first years,
it's-
I was making like 9,000 a year for
Oh yeah,
10 years. you know?
it's very tough. It's very tough. You don't come in and make it, and hence
Mm-hmm.
that's why I was able to excel, because I was single.
Correct.
Somebody
That
called,
helps.
that phone rang.
Yeah.
I could say yes to 25 days in Costa Rica or something.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I was single initially for the first 10 years of the biz. Lived at mom and dad's house, you know, for the first bunch of years because I couldn't afford anything.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So now your experience though in Los Angeles and moving out here. You know what? We're going to go to a quick break,
Sure.
and then we'll be right back. We're going to talk about that experience of coming out to LA.
Burnie's workshop is fantastic. Burnie's workshop is awesome. Burnie's workshop is insightful.
Burnie, in one word, passionate maybe. You can tell he really cares a lot.
Burnie is a badass.
He's a great teacher. He has great stories, and I would recommend this to anyone. Not only someone like me who's starting day one, but you know, I feel that in any profession, as you sharpen your sword, it always gets sharper.
I think the best thing about this is the access to understanding how to run your business, how to actually be in this filmmaking industry and make money at it. Coming to this workshop, I think, is what actually gets you the tools to understand how to do that, how to get out there and sell yourself.
I thought that was really cool. I thought, he knows all the tricks in the book, and he knows how to show that to us and actually demonstrate it so we actually know what he's talking about.
I really like the hands-on experience. That's something that you don't find a lot. That's something you have to go on set a lot to just appreciate.
I know this is lighting seminar, but it's not only talk about lightings. He also share his business experience, personal experience, and guide us to what we should do, what kind of personality we should have in this business.
His stories, I think that kind of say everything in a few example stories that he gives out from time to time.
I would recommend this workshop to anybody who's just brand new to the industry, people who just don't know the swing of it. A lot of this stuff they don't teach you in film school.
I deal with a lot of freelancers every day, a lot of peers that I went to school with, a lot of professionals in the field, and they all need to take this class because it puts you on the next level, on the next playing field.
Burnie's a great guy. Burnie's really authentic. Like everything he learns, everything he teaches, the way he handles himself, the way he deals with other people, he's a one-of-a-kind guy. Someone I've never come across before in the industry, and someone I hope to emulate and hope that there are more people like him out there that can help.
Hey, here we are back with Jim Simeone, and we were just talking about lifestyle and your spouse and family issues and stuff, and you and your wife live on separate coasts, and just working that out, which I love. I mean, because you know why I love that so much, and it's kind of as I was saying before, you know, I was 62 when I was married. My wife is approximately 30 years younger than I am.
But she understands your crazy business.
You know, I don't know if she does, but she likes me.
She's putting up with it. She's putting up with you. Yeah.
It's really, I'll have to say this. My wife gives much more of herself in my business at the loss of our personal life than I do. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I kind of have my toy and I'm still playing with it like I was before I met her. But she is a beautiful woman, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen pictures. She's stunning. I don't know how you got it.
Neither do I. I don't push that subject too far either. But you know what? Here is the other thing, and this is something with me and my wife that I think is very unique. 30 years age difference. Mm-hmm. We grew up in different countries, spoke different languages, different religions.
Yeah.
And our relationship was easy. You know,
we
never hit a bump in the road we couldn't handle. And it was because I think because of her, really. I'm kind of I'm kind of a more scattered, kind of a hot-headed guy, you know
Right.
what I mean? She is very calm, and she can take
Yeah.
it step by step and doesn't get flustered and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it good. And I know you and your wife probably have a similar relationship,
Yeah,
I would
we're
assume.
definitely different personalities.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in trouble for this. She's much more high-strung, can be serious about things.
Yeah.
And then I'm a bit lackadaisical and a jokester and stuff like
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Yeah.
But it seems to work out. We fill each other's missing
Links.
things. Yeah.
Yes. So, and you were going to tell a story about money.
Yeah,
or-
money. One of the things Karen is always bugged about the way I've done my career the entire time is I've have this weird feeling about money and what I do, and like I almost want people to think I'm not doing it for money and that I just love
I
doing it.
kind of know what you're talking
and
about.
like
Yeah.
I never send an invoice until I hear a week later that they're happy or something like that, and then I send my invoice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm really uncomfortable discussing rate. Like if new people call me and they say, "What's your rate anyway?" and I'll go into this thing of, you know what, I'm probably the only guy you'll ever meet that does this, but I've done this for the past 25 years. I send, I'll write down my expenses, fuel and monitors and stuff like that. Labor, blank. I send a blank labor.
Really?
And a cover letter that says, hey, it was great working with you guys. Every job is different. I know that every budget's different. So whatever works for your budget is fine by me.
Oh my God.
And I've done that since the 80s. And 99% of the time, I end up getting more than I would have asked for.
Really?
Yeah, because I still connect myself working in the gas station for $1.90 an hour. Yeah. And so I think anything more is
I
great.
had those jobs.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. You know what? That is the most unique thing I've heard on this show for sure, and I have never met anybody who has done that. That is very, very
Yeah, I've
unique.
really never been disappointed or stiffed
Wow.
on that either. I mean, I'm not saying every crew position should do this. I think
understood.
this is maybe a director, DP
Understood.
rank kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you know anybody else who does it?
No.
Yeah, I've never heard
Yeah.
of that. I've never
and
heard
then
of that.
my wife being a producer, one of her complaints sometimes with crew, even though she uses them, is how strong they are about talking money.
Yeah.
And I worked an extra 2 minutes on this, so I should be,
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And that starts to bug her.
Yeah.
I go,
Which I understand.
right, and we aren't. It's not a hobby. We are supposed to be doing it for pay, and we need to pay rent and eat food and all
Right.
that. But it can bug sometimes the producers.
It can seem cheap.
If it seems like, you seem cheap.
It seems cheap, and you
Yeah.
know what? That's something I think there's education on both sides too. That, as you know, and we all know, that individual there, his labor and time is the only thing he has to sell.
Correct.
Yeah. But I would say, in context of that,
Yeah.
and I know this as a business owner, I have to give some to my clients to
Yes.
make it good for them.
Right.
And if they walk away feeling good, I know they will return, even if it's not them.
No,
They'll send
right.
somebody to
but it's
me.
repeat business. It's
Yeah.
referrals. It's Joe Schmo from XYZ agency or production company is gone from there. He starts his own company, ABC agency.
Yes.
And he remembers you and he hires you.
Yes. I call them cluster bomb clients.
Yeah.
Because the bomb goes
Right.
off at their company, and 5 of them go
Yeah,
to
and
5
then now there's
different
5 new
companies.
companies.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to also, not burn any bridges ever with anyone.
Right.
And if someone talks to you about, hiring you for a job, and this job is poison, this is
Yeah.
not going to be good,
Yeah.
and you already know the rates that they want to give all the crew are horrible,
Right.
and the rate you're going to get is horrible. My method, which is probably cowardly, but I'll never say, oh no, I need, my rate is usually that. I just don't have the courage to say that. And I'll go,
Yeah.
oh, when is the date? Oh, geez, I'd love to work with you. And I've done that for 25 years as well.
I'm booked.
know,
Oh, darn.
And Karen says, you're such a pussy. But, sometimes they call you back later and they have a budget. And they don't
have a
remember
budget,
they don't
right,
remember you as being the guy
right.
complaining about the rate. And most likely if the rates are that low, they're also getting paid low too. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah, they
wanna-
don't have anything in their bucket.
Yeah, right.
Usually.
Yes, right.
And that is, I'd say, in the 95% category.
Then
Mostly people with money.
You'll start to notice a pattern of
Yeah.
it's always this way.
low. Always
And,
low.
and you
Yeah.
never have enough crew. You don't have any of the equipment you need
Right.
ever.
Right.
And then it's time to walk away and let someone else take it.
Someone else have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and but just doing what you do, I think, is a real testament to how good you are. If you can if you can do the fill in the blank,
Yeah.
and you're making it, and you're good, you know what I mean? Then you're doing really well.
Yeah, yeah.
You're doing really well.
It works out. And sometimes, they'll give you this amount, and then another job they give you this amount.
Yeah.
And you understand. I understand. This job had a budget. This
They
one
had a
didn't.
budget,
And I know
yeah.
because this one I had 5 in the lighting grip team, and this one I had 1 in the lighting grip team. And
Yes.
it makes sense.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, that is very unique, very cool. I like that. I like that. Now, with me, and many times I'm put in a position when we're talking, and this is something that I've learned how to sort of, phone, and I'm going to ask you about that too, about the first phone call, but with me on the phone, there are certain marks I have to hit with the client.
Sure.
One is, the simplest thing is, hey, I need a light, I need some stands, that's so easy,
Right.
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But when we get into the crew, and can you find me sound, and do all this, then I have to start coming up with rates, because
Yeah, 'cause-
I know who I'm going to call.
Right, because you have different, they're all great guys, but there are different levels.
Yeah, they're at different levels, and
Yeah.
I know I need a really sharp player in this role, but the other two roles,
Right.
it's not that
Like
crucial.
I think on that Drew Brees thing, we had like an A team. We had
we had an
all
A
high
team
level
on that,
guys.
yeah.
And then the shoot I did the next day probably was, I know what it was.
Yeah, it was B. It was
Yeah.
A
And they're
minus
still
to
great
B
guys,
plus.
and they
yeah.
work hard, and they can pretty much do the same thing.
Right.
But they're just running a different circle where
Well-
the rates are $150 a day less. You know what I mean?
And on that Drew Brees shoot, the A team and the difference in that workflow on the set is on the A team, everybody's kind of joking around, like looking, like it's got a little side stuff. But everybody has
Is
already
there.
completed their job,
Yeah,
and now they're
right.
doing extra.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
what
and
it
on that
is.
one too, we were scrambling because we're trying to make it look like 4 football players, high school kids, or practically a whole team, and we're trying to cover things.
Oh,
and
remember
and we
that?
were moving
Yeah.
around, and I discussed it with you. I'd love to have an edge on everybody when possible, but we're out on a football field. I know you're not
Yeah.
going to move the 12K over there to do this, so it's shiny boards for the most of it. And
Right.
then your guys would pay attention to where we were moving the kids to,
Yes.
and they would run the 2 or 3 shiny
Yes.
boards down, and I
Awesome
didn't have
crew.
to keep saying.
Let's do
You know,
this.
they
Yeah,
were
or
on-
I need an edge.
yeah, they were
back
on
there.
the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. And all of those guys knew by where you were putting the camera, where they had to
Start
put the
to
board.
guess it, yeah.
They didn't ask me, they didn't
Right,
ask
yeah.
you,
Yeah.
they
So
knew
it's
right
a
where they had to go.
shorthand
Yes.
that is very necessary, especially
Yes.
in a daytime outside shoot where you're going to have a sunset and you're going to lose the day.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I know, first of all, and it's the first phone call.
Mm-hmm.
The first phone call that we get, of course, are total instincts are to get the job. For us, we're more addicted to the phone ringing than even going out on the jobs,
Yeah,
I
sometimes,
believe.
right.
Because it's a little bit like a lotto. It's like a scratcher ticket.
Yeah.
You click it, where's this going to take me?
Yeah.
And you do that. But tell me, and very unique on your billing, for your services, but what are you listening for? What are the top things you're listening for and finding out on that first phone call?
I guess first thing I'm looking for is how experienced this person is that's talking to me. And I can tell that sometimes by just what they say or what they ask, and I might ask a few leading questions to try to get that out of them. I'm not going to accuse them of anything, but then it'll tell me right away how I need to answer, that I need to answer like I'm talking to someone who doesn't really know anything about it and stuff, or someone who's experienced.
Yes. Somebody on a steep learning curve, you're going to have couch your answers into the mode of it's part explaining too.
Right, yeah. Like right away, if someone says they got me my name from, they give me the name, then I know they're probably more experienced. A lot of the new thing now, maybe it's good, but being old, I don't know if it's good, is Yeah, I find all my crew through the internet just by doing these searches, and I blindly ask for a DP or I blindly ask for an AC.
Yeah.
And people I don't know give me names.
Yeah.
That means
yeah.
nothing to
Yeah,
me.
no, that's
And it's like, well, why wouldn't you ask someone else that you work with before? Hey, do you know anyone in Omaha, Nebraska?
Yeah.
You know, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that dartboard strategy
Yeah,
of it. Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not
get
good.
that.
It's not good.
Yeah.
So you do, and you've already answered this, that you sort of do, if you're feeling very uneasy about this job, what were the dates again?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, I'd love to do it.
I-
Oh, when is? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
And then I don't go too nuts on giving referrals for shooters. I have some great guys that I do give their
Yes.
names out on, guys I trust as far as I know they do a good job, so they won't disappoint.
And I'm very sorry, I don't
and
remember his name, but who is the guy that you said it? He's your guy that works with you all the
Like
time.
Brian Hudenpile.
Yeah,
Hootie.
yes.
Yeah,
Hootie.
he was on the
Yeah.
Heat Shooters, the other camera
Such
guy.
an awesome
and he's
player.
just a really nice guy. Yeah, like that job, I sent you some work the other
Yes,
day.
yes.
And I couldn't do it, so I sent Hootie down instead.
Yeah.
But I totally trust him. He's great. He works hard, and he's not that type who wants to steal your work.
No.
Is another thing you got to worry about a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
never had someone
Yeah,
do
you,
that.
you know what, to tell you the truth, here's my philosophy on this, is that no one steals a client.
No.
The client makes a choice of where they're going to
Sure.
go based
Yeah.
on probably 5 or 6 different criteria.
Yeah.
You know, and usually, which the last one is money. Because
Yes.
if somebody is already doing money, you would have never got the job in the first place,
Sure.
right?
Right.
You know, they would have gone to the
Yeah.
cheaper guy.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I look at it that way. But yeah, so you do have to be aware of that. You have to
Yeah.
be, but players like Hootie and stuff like that, they're,
Yeah, I mean,
they're
you got
valuable.
some, you have great people that you work with all the
Yeah.
time, and you know, and if you were not available to Gaff and you recommended one of those guys, I would in a second
Say yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Of
yeah,
course. Besides the
yeah,
fact I probably already work
yeah,
with them.
Yeah. Tell me what's coming up in the future. What do you got on the what's on
let me
your
see.
calendar?
I've been doing a bunch for. There's a cooking show called America's Test Kitchen, and I don't do the actual cooking show, but I do the some commercials for them.
Okay.
So we've been shooting those in Boston at their facility, which is basically kitchens. Like there'll be a kitchen with 80 ovens in it. You know, it's
Wow.
a gigantic setup. And we'll do a recipe, and it turns into like a 30, 40-second recipe. And so I've done a bunch of those lately. So that is one of my Boston things that I'm starting to do.
Yeah. Okay. So you are back in Boston
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah. And then one of the things I did when I moved out to California 20 years ago is I got into the infomercial world. And that was
Okay.
a huge portion of my career the last 20 years was infomercials. So I've shot probably 70 infomercials now.
Wow.
But that industry's totally changed.
Oh no, that's been
And
decimated.
long form, the 30-minute show is kind of gone now for the most part.
Yeah.
A lot of the production companies that used to do them are gone.
Yeah.
Beachbody, which is the world's largest exercise fitness infomercial company, publicly announced like 2-3 years ago, we're never doing another 30-minute infomercials.
Really?
They only do commercials now
Wow.
or web stuff. So an infomercial, 30-minute show, you might get 12, 14 days of shooting.
Yeah.
Now it's a 30-second commercial.
Yes.
It's a day of shooting. So
Yes.
there's a ton less of that work.
Yeah. Yeah. Which made it direct. I know here in Orange County because we had script to screen, we
Sure.
had
I
some
used to
other
work for Script to Screen, yeah.
big players
Yeah.
and stuff. It made a real difference
Yeah.
in this market. You know.
Right.
What's coming up? Like what do you see? What do you know? Greg Jacobs, the guy who we had just last week. You know, he says if anybody tells you they know where the media business is going, they're lying to
Yes,
you,
I
which
agree.
I love
I
because
agree
it's
with
so
him.
true.
Yeah.
But where do you see the industry going? What is your feel
I
for it?
see budgets continuing to spiral downward.
Yes.
I see maybe in effect what we've always grown up with, seeing advertising on television totally changing or even going away as it turns into people are finding out about things on their telephone now or the computers. So it's web, it's 2-second commercial practically things on your telephone. You know, I'm having to frame now for squares, not even the old ugly 4:3,
Right.
a square.
Yeah.
You know, like
Because
people want to watch their telephone vertical. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've given up now because like for years, the past few years, if I'm at a concert or something like that and I'm seeing people shooting, you know, the band vertically. I come up behind them, tap them on the back. I go, hey, like this. And they're like, what? I go, is your TV mounted that way in your wall? And they're like, they do this. But,
why is this man bothering?
But I've given up on that now.
Right,
Yeah.
right. No, I do. You know, everybody I tell shoot vertical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm seeing like the grip trucks just getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and it's turning into van packages
Yes.
and four-door sedan packages.
Yeah,
You know,
and you don't think
that.
that's not good. We're never going back. You know,
No,
that's the
we're
one
not
thing.
going to.
We're never
not gonna
going
have,
back.
You know, the really old days where, like in an old movie, every big light always had a guy in a stepladder next to it to trim. You know,
Sure.
the
Because you don't want it, the DP doesn't want it, and then have to wait for somebody to get the ladder, go up, put the guy up there, and do
so
all
every
that.
light had a guy on a ladder next to it. You know, trimming the piece of carbon. But you know, budgets are smaller. The equipment we use now is a lot smaller, you know, because the cameras are all ridiculously fast. You know, the
And LEDs are out there
native
now.
exposure now, and half the cameras are 2,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you don't need you still have to light to make it look nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be as big of a light. Which
You don't
means
have to light for
need,
exposure.
So you don't need as much crew, and you know,
Yeah.
not that I don't love having a big crew like I did on that one.
No, but it's
I
the
don't see it as
reality
often
of it.
anymore.
It's the reality of it. I'm getting called out
Yeah.
with guys for vans. I mean, vans are working all the time.
Yeah.
You know, the trucks aren't working all the time.
Correct,
So that's
correct.
it.
Yeah.
So Jim, great hour, believe it
Well,
or not.
thank you for
We're-
having me.
we're
I had fun.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Tell them where we can get a hold of you.
Okay, I guess my website is jimsimeone.com.
Spell Simeone for me.
Simeone.
Okay.
And I'm kind of Burbank and Boston, but I fly wherever. I have
188 days in
Yeah,
hotel rooms.
I
You'll
have-
go wherever.
I have close to 2 million frequent flyer miles right now. So, like the stewardesses are starting to recognize me now. They go, "Hey, how you doing?"
Hey, what job you working on?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, thank you
thank you
so
for having me.
much.
It was a
Thank you,
blast.
Jim, so much. This is a great show with great information. It's great to sit down and learn more about you.
Yeah, and we look forward to working with you again
Yeah,
soon,
no
too.
kidding. Absolutely. So that is it, and we will see you next week on Burnie's Applebox.
Cut. That's a wrap.